the way to win the election.
You can, we meet every Wednesday at
No
5.
walking, right? I'd like to call to order the Economic Development and Planning Committee. Is there any discussion to come before the committee?
Yes.
Barbara?
I just wanted to reiterate my objection to the three-person committee. It closes off debate and openness to the body. Having 3 people and 1 person is on 4 committees. I get the exclusionary that other people felt last year, and it's very challenging to the people that are excluded. So just wanted to reiterate that point, and maybe we can change that before next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other? Mr. Chessie, I believe you have a presentation you'd like to
Yes,
give?
hi, my name is Anthony DeChessie. I'm with TDW Consulting Group. We are doing a grant application for the Beaumont Snow Travelers Club. We're looking for some trail grooming equipment. We did this in 2008 for them, and we were successful. And all we're looking for from the county is a resolution endorsing the project. And you'll see I have a handout there for you. There's no match, nothing from the county. We're not asking for anything other than an endorsement. And under the Trail Grant Program, it's a federally funded program, they do request a resolution from the county. So if there's any questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you. Usually with grants, there's some sort of administration fee or percentage. Is there, like, do you work with a firm, or it's no cost to the county?
Nothing at all. Yes, I work for TDW Consulting Group, and we are hired by the Beaumont Snow Travelers Club to write this grant.
Okay,
all
so
there is
that's
to it.
where the...
Everything
okay.
goes through them after that.
Okay.
Our job is done once we submit the application. We do help them if they need any help with the paperwork after. They were successful once before, they never asked us. We did this for them once before, and we didn't hear from them until they got the snow groomer, and they wanted our pictures taken. Okay. So that's it.
So there's not 1 penny of this grant, because this is, I was part of the other snow trail grants that came in, so this is a completely different thing,
Yeah.
and I was so excited to hear this
Yes.
come forward, and I've done my research on this,
And
and
this has nothing.
this is fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, I can testify to that. I was a member of the club when we did get the money, and there was no matching funds or anything. It was a very good job, by the way,
Thank you. Thank you.
of doing that.
Legislator Chessie.
Yeah, just in case some of my colleagues didn't notice my brother's last name. I'm part of that company also, so I won't be voting on it.
Mr. Diamond?
Chair, thank you. I just would like to say I was a longtime member of the Beaumont Snowmobile Club, I don't know, maybe 20 years plus, and they do an excellent job. This is equipment that they could very much need, and I think a bigger picture for the county is economic development in the winter. And I think if you read some of the studies they do, that's where the county's lacking, and this would be a part of increasing the economic development, bringing people to the county and during the winter, because it's well needed. So thank you, Anthony.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chessie. Any other comments? With that said, the first resolution is endorsing a grant application for the Beaumont Snow Travelers in New York Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and Office of Legislature. Yes. Sponsor?
I'll second.
So pleasure of the board to move it to full board?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, the next resolution is resolution authorizing the county executive to sign an application for the funding to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Recreational Trails Program, Economic Development Planning. Any discussion? Wishes of the committee?
Move it to full board.
Full board?
Sponsor in a second.
Sponsor? Martin? Harper, seconding. Move to full board? Okay. The next resolution, I've asked Megan to kind of give us an explanation of, because it's not quite clear in my mind. So,
Thank you. This is something, a resolution authorizing the county attorney to perform legal services for the revolving loan fund. And this is something I'm actually excited about because it's an opportunity to bring something in that has been sent to outside counsel and bring it back in-house and hopefully bring some revenue into the department of the county attorney. So I'm excited to have an opportunity to bring things back in and hopefully offset some of the expenses the county attorney department would have through funds through the CRC. Yeah.
Megan, now this wouldn't interfere with the charter, what the charter says for the county attorney?
No, it
No.
would be consistent. It's basically it would be collecting on loans that are in default, which is service through economic development through the IDA. So it's a county purpose, and it wouldn't be conflicting or going against the county in any way.
Barbara?
I actually think there's some things that may be overlapping, so I think that this is very purposeful. I think that this will be resource smart. I think that she will work very well with the economic development, and it's working smarter, not harder. So I'm very happy to see this.
Yeah, the goal would be to have some, have it in-house, have quicker response time, quicker ability to have meetings if they need to come up, save some money.
Any other questions? My question would be, can you explain kind of the billing mechanism for this? And
Sure. So in the resolution, it has set out an agreed upon hourly rate. So because this is servicing something for the IDA, which has its own council, and the Department of Economic Development facilitates that. So, but it's the IDA's project. So this would be working on something essentially for the IDA. So the attorney's fees would get credited to the Department of Law as a credit, and it would show as a revenue. Yep.
Okay.
so just for clarification, it wouldn't be addressed to you. It would be
No,
addressed
this is
through the
not going to
department.
be. This is not going to be checked to Megan Mannion. It's going to be credit to the county attorney department.
Any language that we should change in that?
If you'd like me to, we could add after the rate not to exceed 200 per hour. We could add something that says to be credited to the Department of Law, if that would make it a little clearer than how it's written. I'm happy
I would be
to
happy with that.
do that.
Sure. We have a motion. Barbara will motion that. Martin will second it. So move it to full board.
Move it to full board.
Is there anything else coming before this committee? Okay, we're done. Thank you. We need a motion to, we don't need a motion to, do we?
Yeah.
Yep.
A motion to adjourn? Martin?
And Terry.
You don't look a day over 35, Joe.
Gee, thanks, Mark. That's the nicest thing somebody said to me in 40 years.
Say that when you're
I gotta
sitting a
work
little
on
closer to Joe next time.
Okay, Public Safety Committee meeting, call to order. Is there any discussion? Somebody's got to have some discussion today, nobody? All right, shall we move on to the resolutions? Sure. Really? Okay. And they're giving me a hard time today.
Yes.
Resolution number 1, we're going to talk about the, let's see, the bandwidth for the Sheriff's Department, which I don't have anybody here to talk about that. I don't think. Right or wrong? To move for from 4 meg up to 10 meg, I would assume that they're just increasing the internet. So I wish somebody was here from Data to tell me that, but you guys got questions on that, or any questions?
It seems pretty straightforward, and that's what they're doing, so.
Okay, anybody have any objections for us to
I'll sponsor.
sponsor? Second? Okay, full board?
Full board.
Okay, and if there's any questions, we can get them answered on that. That seems to be straight.
You know, I actually know if you want. It's the same price.
Go right ahead, ma'am.
I apologize, I didn't mean to. It's the same price, just you get, you know, way more than double the gig.
So they're giving us more bandwidth.
10 instead of 4.
Okay.
So it's the same cost.
That stuff
Except for-
seems to be going down now.
Right. Yep, so it's more cost efficient, it's better, so.
Okay, let's go to the second resolution. Let's see, Department of Energy Management seeks to participate in what's that, intergovernmental agreement. Again, I need some explanation on this, which maybe the county attorney can give me.
I think Mr. Smith is.
Well, then let's go. Jeff, you got center stage.
Unfortunately, I don't know exactly
There
how
you
it's
go.
gonna work out
See?
either.
So I'm not that
You're
stupid
not
after all.
alone, no.
Okay.
The governor of the state of New York has got some money passed in his budget for MutualLink. MutualLink is a software version of interoperable communications, and I think it's the state government's way of allowing counties to have access to databases to communicate during large-scale incidents. For example, like the search up north. It opens up numerous ways to communicate with all state agencies.
Just hypothetically, would that allow them to get into your radio system if necessary?
My understanding is not.
Not, okay.
Not into our radio. We have to, because of grants, we have to allow them access to use our radios anyways,
All right,
over and above.
so this would have nothing to do with that?
No.
Okay, so you have...
MutualLink is a private company that the state has hired and put on staff to administer this program. And, you know, if you read through the agreement, they're gonna provide us 5 accounts to have access to this. Now, if we have an emergency within the county, we handle our own communications, but if it's something large enough that we have people from all over the state, including state agencies,
Mhm.
we may need some assistance, and that's the goal of this program, to make each county on that level to reach out to.
So
state
technically,
agencies.
you'd be able to use their resources then, in other
Correct.
words, right? Okay.
They're allowing us to use their resources, basically through the internet service, to communicate with state agencies.
Okay.
So I believe it's a good thing. I mean, you never know until you get it and you start
Thank you
using
for
it.
believing it's a good thing, then, that's good.
Well, and there is an out clause in the contract for both sides, the state and us, if for some reason it doesn't work out the way we think it was.
Barb, you had a question?
I think it, like when the flood happened, and he's probably an expert to talk about this because he's been in those places in the county that he's facilitated in those disaster and catastrophic areas. So it's a backup, it's another
Yeah, during
resource for
the
us.
13 flood, Homeland Security came out and set up a communications shop, and they brought all the equipment with us. I think this will make it easier and quicker, hopefully, and, you know, of course, it depends on your broadband service.
Jeff, we used to use the old EAS on the radio stations. Now that the government has come out with this new thing from FEMA, is it similar, is this probably tied to it?
I
Where we
don't
can-
know exactly what you're
Where
talking
we
about.
can, no, it's another box they give us where we can get direct communications from
Yes,
Washington,
I believe
Homeland
that's the
Security, and all
concept
that.
behind
Okay,
this.
very good.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
No cost, that's a good thing.
Shall we move this to full board?
Move to full board.
Okay.
I'll second.
I thought we did have a, oh, no, we didn't? I thought you did sponsor it. Okay, sorry about that. Do we have a sponsor in a second?
Yeah.
Martin,
Very good.
If the legislature wishes, once it gets rolled out, I will report back to you so you know exactly how it's working and what purpose it's serving.
Okay.
Is that moved to full board?
Could this be
Yep.
used as consolidation, government?
Yes.
It could probably be. Okay, let's move on. Next resolution for public defender. They're looking to seek a grant for $222,000. I would like, and I don't want to commit them to any specific funds, I just want an idea what they're going to use it before we move this forward. That's my opinion on that. So can I table this temporarily until we get an explanation? I don't want to, they don't have to say this, just a little bit of an idea what they're going to use $74,000 a year for extra. Okay? Did anybody object for me to just temporarily pull it off the table till I get
Will
that.
this affect the grant? Like, is there a deadline, a hard deadline?
Well, I think the county attorney will have to tell us that.
I do not have a copy of the grant with me, so I could not speak to that.
Do we have anybody here or not?
Could we push it to personnel? Because is this for a job? Is this-
Don't know what we're gonna do with it, just saying they're
Just a
gonna
little
use
bit
it.
more information.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
And I would, I would like to
Not on the
request that.
committee.
In the event that we need to bring it up at the board meeting for, if it was gonna affect the grant, Martin, maybe we could probably make an exception and propose that resolution. I just want an explanation of what they're gonna do with $70,000 a year, that's all. And you got, huh?
Okay, so
I
you
just
want
want-
to table it?
Yes, I would just like to not move this forward.
So I'll have a motion, put a motion to table.
Is somebody gonna second that? Okay, thank you very much. I'd just like to get used to them giving us information, that's all.
Not a problem.
All right, and finally here for the, we have a resolution to, this is like post tense, right? It already was today, right, or whatever.
It was today.
So
Taking
we're
it back.
moving money to pay for the event today, so, right? And we better,
Okay.
can I have a sponsor for that?
Discuss it with Joe.
Huh?
So you want to take it to next month?
This one here you're talking about, I would like to move this to next month, this,
I'll
okay.
sponsor the resolution.
This is the one we have now, right? Okay, you're sponsoring, any second? Okay, thank you very much, and a motion to move this to full board, we gotta pay for it, right?
Full board.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bad you couldn't show up, Joe.
What's that?
Bad you couldn't show up, Joe.
I know.
I could have given you free cheese.
You had a cow there today?
Yeah.
Was,
Son of a gun, I would've come there today.
She's a celebrity.
Really? That's the one there? Okay. All right, anything else to discuss?
She's cuter than Martin.
It doesn't
I
take
probably got a
much.
lot of people over there looking at it today,
It doesn't take much.
right? Very good. Anything else? Anything else to discuss? Then motion to adjourn?
I'll
Adjourn?
second it.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye, Jeff, thanks for that explanation for us, because I actually didn't know what that one was, so. Okay, yeah. Next.
Next. I'd like to call the meeting of Budget and Finance to order. Is there any discussion from the members? Hearing none. I'm very happy to say that I have cooperative extension here with Soil and Water. They're going to do their presentation for the 2016 budget. So the first on the docket is Corey Nellis from, no, sorry. I take that back. I read it wrong. It's Brian from Cooperative Extension. Gilchrist, Brian Gilchrist.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. I'm Brian Gilchrist. I'm the Association Executive Director for Cornell Cooperative Extension in Fulton, Montgomery County, and Washington County. For those who don't know about Cornell Cooperative Extension, our mission is education, outreach, and research in the primary areas of agriculture, 4-H youth development, and healthy living. We accomplish that mission in Fulton and Montgomery counties with a very small staff. We have one full-time 4-H youth development educator, one part-time, a 30-hour-a-week administrative assistant who assists with 4-H duties. We have two regional agriculture teams. Our Central New York Dairy and Field Crops team employs 2 high-level specialists in dairy and field crops, and our Eastern New York horticulture team employs 12 individuals covering fruits, vegetables, marketing, farm business management, and post-harvest, and they hire 12 specialists. Cooperative Extension truly is a partnership. We're a partnership between the federal government, the state government, and the county government, and we cannot function without those 3 partners. The budget is in front of you. Just looking at those three partners, our federal partner gives us $10,000 a year. We're back to 10,000 the last couple of years. It dipped to 8,000 because of sequestration, and we think it's going to stay at the 10,000 as we move forward. Our state 224 funds, those are funds from New York State given to extension associations. New York State considers that money aid to localities, and that money cannot be allocated to a county association if they don't have a county partner who is funding them. And that can be through a direct appropriation or through contracts. Our state money is figured on both our Fulton County appropriations and our Montgomery County appropriation. So they take each one of those separate, they add it together, and they give us an appropriation. And you all know about the county appropriation. That really, the other two have to be used on staff salaries, professional level staff salaries. The county appropriations can be used at the board's discretion. That really is the funds that allow us to leverage other funds, our state funds, oftentimes in grants we need local funds to cover a match or to cash flow reimbursable grants. So we really depend on our county appropriation. And then other funds, those are grants and contracts, contributions. I'm sure you've all been to Tractor Supply and have the Clover campaign where people donate $1. We get about $1,500 a year from that campaign. So we have other sources of funds. This year, I put in a budget request of $80,000 from Montgomery County. That represents over 10% increase from last year. We currently receive $70,000 from Montgomery County, and as you all know, we moved into the Montgomery County Annex building this year free of charge. We thank you for that. Last year, we did submit the $80,000 request, and we received the $70,000 and the free office space. So what would we do with that $80,000 plus our other income? Our programmatic priorities remain the same. Ag education, funding agriculture through our regional teams, 4-H youth development, and our master gardening program. Those are our three priorities that the board has set. We are charged a contribution to the regional ag teams based on our commodity statistics for agriculture. So that 6-county regional team, we all pay in based on our share of agriculture. So we're not covering somebody else's share. They're not covering our share. We consider it equal, and that allows farmers to attend programs. That allows those specialists to come out to farms and work hand in hand with those farmers. And I don't have to tell you the economic impact that agriculture has in Montgomery County. As far as 4-H goes, last year, when we started the year, we had 2.5 FTEs dedicated to 4-H with budget cuts. We ended up having to eliminate 2 of those positions and created one new position that was going to be focused on just the 4-H club program. And then our part-time person went on maternity leave, was going on maternity leave to have another child and decided not to come back to work. So we're down to one 4-H staff person who's working primarily with the club program. That's recruiting new youth to be involved in 4-H, enrolling those youth, and the big piece of 4-H obviously is volunteers. We could not deliver our 4-H program without volunteers, although that is not free. There's a cost to managing volunteers, to enrolling volunteers, and doing background checks on those volunteers. We used to do after-school programs, special interest programs, and in-school programming. Right now we had to scale back to just the 4-H club program with some special interest programming, like today's Youth Day at the Montgomery County Annex building. That's where we're staffed now. We have seen an increase. We have a couple new 4-H clubs in both counties, and we have new members in both counties, along with several new 4-H volunteers. And really that, we do feel that the 4-H volunteers is kind of one of the things that has stopped us from growing. You can't have kids enroll when you don't have volunteers to work with them. So we're excited to see those new 4-H volunteers. I'm sure the question that may be on everyone's mind is what happens with our other county partner. As you know, you give us $70,000. Last year, Fulton County gave us $20,000. It's not an equal partnership. The piece that is equal is those regional ag programs, because we pay based on our commodity share. The Fulton County share barely covers the cost of those 2 ag programs. We have about $8,000 left over that helps support overhead in the 4-H program. Right now, we are trying, the word is we have been zeroed out of the budget. We're trying to get back into the budget. We're working on that. So the budget you have in front of you is what happens if Fulton County does not fund us. The big piece is we will lose out on that state money from Fulton County. So that's a drop of $20,000 from Fulton County and $40,000 in state funds, so a loss of $60,000 right off the top. Programmatically, this is an issue that the board will be continuing to work with, but obviously, if Fulton County weren't to fund us, there would be no service in the regional ag programs for those counties. Direct programming in Fulton County would cease to exist. We are a combined association, so according to equal opportunity and equal program opportunity, we serve those residents. So those residents would be allowed to come to programs as they always are. We would still accept youth in 4-H. We would not go to Fulton County, meet with leaders. They would have to come to Montgomery County. If leaders wanted to, hold meetings in Fulton County, that would be fine, but we would not be doing any direct programming in Fulton County. As far as the budget impact, it is a large budget impact. A lot of the numbers that you see in there for general office functions haven't really changed because I don't see our staffing changing. We would still have that very small staff. We would just concentrate more in Montgomery County. So, our phone bill would still be the same, our unemployment, our workers' comp, all those things, those costs of running an office would remain the same. If you look at that budget and you look down at the bottom, we would still be $54,000 short with an $80,000 appropriation. We are looking at how to close that gap. We would hope to have some sort of carryover. At this time, our budget is pretty tight and we're tracking pretty even as far as income and expenses. So I don't anticipate a large carryover. The other change in that budget is if I'm employed 2 days a week by the association, if Fulton County were to drop out, that would be a decision of the board. And currently in this budget, I have put myself in for 1 day a week if Fulton County is not funding us.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Duke?
I'm in support of this expenditure. You did an excellent job here with the cover sheet to the budget so that everything is clear and understandable and all the cards are on the table. So I want to commend you for that. I just don't know what your name is, and I don't see that on here. And what the AED is for. What that stands for again, if you could run that by me again.
My name is Brian Gilchrist, and what was the letters you wanted to know?
AED.
Whereabouts is that on there?
Is this part of your report too? That's different?
That's probably on economic
Sorry.
development, but.
Yes, that's why I'm not clear here. Nobody's putting your name on it. I would be proud to put my name on that report. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Barbara?
Yeah, I thought you were amazing since you first came. I supported it as well. I think what Cornell Cooperative Extension does, I had the pleasure when I first came being on the board, so I get the match with the federal and the state. I know that one of the things that I've loved that you do is you go to elementary schools with the chicks. Is that something that...
We still do the incubation and embryology. That was one of the things that we were on the fence with because we consider that an in-school program, but we had about 40 incubators go out this school season, so we still do that.
Okay, so yeah, I think you're an asset to the community. And, thank you. I agree. This is an amazing presentation. I thank you for coming tonight.
Can I just mention one thing?
Sure.
One other thing. In the past, you may have heard about our Eat Smart New York program, which is nutrition education for limited resource families working with the food stamp population, Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. That we used to have that program. It was 100% grant funded. It was a county by county basis. Last year, New York State decided that should be a regional program, which made a lot of sense to save cost and administrative dollars. But New York State decided to look at just the sheer numbers of food stamp recipients and said you have to concentrate your work, and our region was the capital district, so we were supposed to concentrate in Albany, Schenectady, and Rensselaer. Everybody else in this region could receive indirect programs, basically advertisements, print education, but no direct education. I don't have to tell you where you rank on those health rankings. Both Fulton and Montgomery counties are both down near the bottom. And through the program that we've had in the past years and the relationship that we have with social services, our numbers were through the roof because of that relationship that we had. So when we wrote that application, we made the argument that both Fulton and Montgomery County needed to receive direct education. And New York State granted that. And it was basically because they could already see that the relationship was there with both DSS and the schools, and that their numbers were there. So we do have, it's not through our office, we house an educator in our office. Albany County Extension is the employer, but we have one educator that just still services Fulton and Montgomery County. So again, it goes back to the relationship.
Martin?
A board member at Cooperative Extension. I've been there before I was a legislator. We've had some trying times in the past, and Ryan, you've done a wonderful job at building the bridges or mending the bridges between your funding sources. You've cleaned up the balance sheet, and I really thank you for that. That being said, I really hope that our neighbors to the north would continue the partnership that we have as the regional teams provide a resource to a major economic sector and provide an environment for continued economic growth. Also, the 4-H portion provides youth with an alternative to the STEM education as the federal and state education departments are encouraging. So, that being said, I really hope that Fulton County continues or increases funding for Fulton Montgomery Cornell Cooperative Extension.
And again, going back to the regional teams, we pay in our share, but those team members are also responsible for bringing income. So they generate income by holding programs and people come to their programs, but their biggest piece of income is grants and contracts. So they're doing on-farm research. Each of those teams brings in about $100,000 in grants, some of them multi-years, but in any given year is about $100,000 in grants for each team. So whether it's $20,000 or $80,000, that money goes a long way.
It's an invaluable resource.
Yes, it is. Roy?
Chair, thank you. I would just like to say I fully support this. This is a very important program. I did notice on the bottom that it's not much, $600 for computer and IT services. And I'm thinking maybe the county could help you out with that. They could, say somebody senior in the same building, they're right there, and that would be something I would propose. Maybe Deb could look into that for us.
That's a very good idea. It's a very good idea. And Joe?
Just I have one small question. You said Fulton County is pulling out basically the support you don't know for sure.
At this point, they said zero. We're hoping to get back in the budget.
Do you know whether they're going into their own program or they just not decided not to fund it?
At this point, just decided not to fund it. We were in a 3-year contract where we each year they decreased 60, 40, and 20, and we got 22 years in a row. This was supposed to be the last year. They are saying they're funding no outside agencies.
They're not being critical.
Right, no, I would ask the same questions if I was a partner.
Yeah, I thought that there was a 4-H component in there, at the bare minimum, consistently.
At the beginning of the contract, those were the figures, and it was to serve 4-H programming, and we made the argument that how the money was spent was really a board decision, and then we made the argument kind of a multiplier effect, and we wanted to be able to use the money to provide services for both ag and 4-H.
Anyone else? Okay, Brian, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, Mr. Corey Nellis from Soil and Water.
No peace mistake.
I didn't get that.
I provided everybody with an envelope with all of our budget information in here. Brief summary of what our programs are and what we work on a daily basis. Okay, I'm Corey Nell, Montgomery County Soil and Water. I'm the district manager over there. I know most of you guys that have seen me before, worked with you. Terry and Martin are both on my board there, and I do appreciate the time that you guys put forward on that. I enjoy working with them guys. 2015, my budget for Montgomery County is $104,000. My 2016 budget request, you can see, is $112,000. The primary reason for an increase is because we're driving a 2000 pickup truck. And at my board meeting, I said, you know, I leaned against it the other day, and the fender kind of gave up a little bit. I said, it's about time. It's only got 135,000 miles on it, but I said, you know, it's our work truck, it's our hauling truck. We haul pipe on it, you know, we use it for going out in the field and just getting it dirty. You know, so I wasn't too crazy about getting a new one. But it's getting there. One of the things I am doing, and I got my technician out there working every day. We have a contract with the government service where we can get surplus equipment, government surplus equipment. So we do have, every day he's calling Indiana. He found trucks in California, Texas. They'll ship them up to us to the Air Force Base, our local base here. So we've been trying to get a truck through the surplus equipment. We've got other equipment like our forklift there for $1,500 really, you know. So we've done pretty good with Jeep, with their service. Hopefully we can get a truck. If we can find one in New York State, we'll get it for free. They offered us one of those Humvees. But you could have it, do whatever you want with it, but you couldn't register it. You had to use it for off-road use only because it doesn't have a title with it. So it's like, well, that's an handy tool to have, except I can't drive. I do own 4 acres over there, like it's to drive around with it. So one of the things I did, a brief summary of some of the stuff that we're working on. This year, one of the things we always do is we apply for state funds, state grants. This year, they're not going to release the list until August. Usually when I come to my budget meeting in August, September, I have a pretty good idea where we stand on that. The list hasn't been released yet. So we applied for the EPF grants. We applied for $2.26 million in total grants. 1,500 of that would be state contributions. The balance, 700,000, would come from on-farm contributions. So when we write our grants, there's a farmer match that's usually 25%. One of these is a K-4 farm, so you'd be matching at 50%. So one farm would be coming up with $350,000 worth of cost of implementation on this farm. So it's a pretty big shot. If there's $12 million in the state available for the EPF, and I'm asking for 1.5 million of that, more than 10%, almost 10%. So might have shot a little too high for that one, but we'll see what happens. We are currently implementing projects in Montgomery County. Typically, we're on average getting about $1 million a year into the county for implementation of on-farm projects. So I went over the projects that are scheduled for implementation. I started 3 contractors today. We got another one that hopefully by the middle of the end of the month, I'll have a design done for, and hopefully by September we'll be starting that construction. But right now, with those 13 projects, we got about $939,000 that'll be spent here in the county. I'd say it would probably be about $1.1 million if all the projects are implemented. You know, so these guys see our budget every month, and they see, you know, we got $1 million in our grant accounts to fund these projects. So a lot of activity there. We also do the Ag Environmental Management Program. They allowed us up to $85,000. We secured $74,000 of that this year, as well as the DAP Dairy Assistance Program, our Dairy Acceleration Program, wrote that one. We got $24,000 in there. So I'm always looking for all the pigeonholes and looking for any nooks and crannies to drag some money out of them. I think we do a pretty good job over there. And the goal, obviously, is to take some of the stress off of the county budget, and you know, and find those dollars elsewhere and try to support our program. So we're really aggressive out there and trying to find these. So this, I won't go over everything in detail, but you know, if you've got any questions on the program that we're working with, you know. We also do the AED program in our office, Economic Development. So what I had Julia should do, this was her June report for what she did in June. And I also had her put on a couple of things that she did in, some of the maple producers workshop and things like that, a couple of grants that she's written. So just give you a brief overview of what she was doing. This mostly last month and a couple of things that she's done over the past few months. I couldn't give it all to you, but the other exciting thing that we did do this year is we've purchased a no-till seeder. We got a grant from New York State for $25,000 to purchase a no-till seeder. So we've got that seeder in the county now. Any farmer that's interested in doing no-till seeding can come in, borrow the seeder, take that seeder out and use it on the farm. It's a valuable piece of equipment. It costs $25,000 to get it, so to have this resource available for the farmers is pretty awesome. I did enclose a copy of the card that we have. We're having a workshop tomorrow on Scott Ryan's farm. He's also a board member. And we're going to have 3 different no-till seeders there. So it's going to be an interesting workshop. Right now we got 39 people signed up to come to and attend the workshop. So we also do a lot of education, pasture workshops, nutrient management workshops, and things like that. So after the summary, I gave you the overall budget sheet. This is what I usually provide to the county every year. And that just gives a breakdown of the categories and the items, so you can see where there's any budget changes and where my budgets are going. And one of the things I never do is I give the previous budget. I'm looking at my budget this year and I said, I always do my 2015, what I anticipated, what I budgeted, and then I go my 2000 or to June, and then I try to figure out what I'm going to spend for the year. I never go back to the previous year to see, so you guys can kind of see an idea what I did, how we did in 2014. So 2014, we had a really good year. I anticipated about $558,000. We got a revenue of about $586. But we did have about a $7,000 deficit. I try to keep around, I've always kept around $30,000 as my working money. I try not to let the account get below that. We had a $7,000 deficit for 2014 according to our overall. And when we make our state retirement payment in March or in February, March is a hard month. We're calling the county and begging for our first appropriation because we're pretty much operating on a shoestring. And I think this year we went into March with about $7,000 in our pocket. So it was a tight month in March. What it does show is that we're not putting a lot of money in there. We're not saving a lot of money. I've always said if something happens with my budget, I'll come to the county and say we're just cutting a little bit short. So I think I put an honest budget together. I think I try to run a really tight budget, and I don't leave a lot of room for error. So hopefully, one of the things you do see is the overall budget dropped this year, and I'm expecting a little bit of a decrease this year. Our pipe sales are down. I think the dairy industry is struggling a little bit. The milk prices have been dropping pretty fast. We were expecting a pretty good downturn in 2016. It's occurring a little bit early. So what happens, everybody's kind of battening down the hatches and we're just not buying the materials and the products and the drainage stuff. So I see a decrease in the revenue, which also creates a decrease in my disbursements because we're not buying so much material. But so there is an overall decrease in the budget, and most of that is coming out of the purchase of tile and pipe. We usually have a $200,000. I'm anticipating about $150 in revenues. And the same happens in the disbursement side. We were doing $190. I'm expecting about $155,000 in disbursement. So, it's a balance. If the revenues go down a little bit, my disbursements also go down a little bit. So the overall budget, I expect to see a little bit of a decrease, but most of that's in the tile sales. And you never know how our budgets are going to go. Sometimes they move. Last 2014, we had a huge second half of the year. I don't know what happened. Everybody went crazy and started buying stuff and buying pipe, and we were very busy. So it's really a balancing act, but I tend to drag on. If anybody has any questions.
I don't have a,
Yes, you do or don't?
well, I do. I just want to say every year you give a clean, concise, tight ship. You run a team, and you're a pleasure to listen to every single year. Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you. Roy?
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to say I think agriculture is going to play a big role in revitalization of the county. just recently hired a head person for our economic development office. I support this wholeheartedly. The couple questions I have are just I guess technical questions. When you mentioned the projects on the farm, is that like for soil revitalization where they can grow better crops?
Well, we do, it's like the AD program, not the AD program, AEM, Ag Environmental Management, Christine's program, we get $85,000 from the state to implement that program. And what she does with the farmers is she goes out and looks at soil samples on all the fields, gives them a soil report, does a nutrient management plan on it, tells them how much touch of manure. So we do a lot of soil health stuff with that, and the soil health grant is actually called the soil health grant to help the farmers improve their organic matter, get green manure on the farm, things like that. So we do a lot with the AEM program for that. Most of the grant money that we take in is for water quality improvements. We go out on the farm, no cost waste, silage, leachate, barnyard runoff, manure management from the CNMP, the nutrient management plan. We're doing a couple of manure storages right now for, just to help them use the manure more as a valuable product instead of a waste product. They're just trying to, use it up and get rid of it and spread it on the field. So we spend a lot of time in both avenues.
So a lot of it's keeping like leachate out of the creeks and things like that.
That's a significant part of our workload is water quality.
And the other question I had with the new seeder, what kind of seed does that put down?
We bought all three seed boxes. You can do small grains, large grains, and you can do native grasses.
Like corn, what's that?
Corn, soybean, oats, or timothy, alfalfa. So there's, when you buy a seeder, you have to choose which box you want on there. And, we had to go a little, we got $22,000 to purchase the equipment, and when we broke the grant, we called around there $18,000 to $20,000. We wrote the grant for $22,000 for equipment purchase, and not one. 2004 or 2014 are your only choices. I don't know where the rest of them go. So we ended up spending $24,500 on the machine. But we could have saved $5,000 by not putting the native grass box down. But I think it's important to be able to have those options. So we got all three boxes on there.
What do you find is the largest crop in the county?
Well, without question, it's going to be your corn, grains, soybeans, and hay. Those are our three standalone crops. We do some oats. We do some barleys, and we do have, it's interesting, with your breweries, a couple of the grain farmers came up with New York State's requiring that you buy a certain amount of New York State product. We got one farmer that's planting the crop that the brewery came up, bought the seed, asked him to plant on his property, and they purchased the product from him to try to get more New York State products. So I think some of that's coming back in hops. We got a lot of hops coming back into the county. It used to be one of our biggest industries, hops.
That takes several years to develop?
Yeah, about 2 to 3 years to get your hops up and running. But I do see a lot of hops growing. But our biggest standalone crops would be your corn, soybeans, and hay.
Thanks, George.
Anyone else? Okay. Corey, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now, since we have a little time, I have nothing else on the agenda. I was wondering if you, the committee members, would like to talk about when we do receive the budget from the executive office. Pardon me, yes.
Is Dusty here too?
Just if you had questions about the budget.
Oh, I wasn't sure. Okay.
I presented it last time, just if you had questions, okay.
Okay, Dr. Swanker's here for the FMCC budget. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay.
I'll be supporting 100%.
Martin? What?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we good? So, all right, I wanted to talk about what kind of forum you wanted to do for budget review. Talk about it a little bit, and so we can make sure we schedule it. And so whether you want to, meet at night with this type of forum and go through every department, or I'm assuming if we meet during the day, not everybody can make it. So, would you like to do workshop nights or?
Yeah, I would. I'd like just to receive the type of presentation that we received here today, so that we can look at the budget, especially that, the cover sheet like that it gives you a little synopsis.
Right.
So you know what the department head is up to. I think it would be superior to what we did last year.
Yes. Okay. Anyone else?
Well, would it be more in-depth, though? I mean...
Well, that's up to you folks. I can have each department here, we can split it, have a couple here each night, or two or three. And depending on your questions and the in-depth review of the budget, it's going to be your...
Cool. Yeah, going from the county executive's budget to we'll wait and see. The soil and water budget, that's something that would be...
Strictly us. Right.
Yes, of course.
But certainly when we get the budget, there's going to be, I'm sure the county executive is going to go through it and make his adjustments. So it'll be trimmed a little bit, I'm assuming. So, correct?
Well, it's in his hands now, so he's formulating his budget, so then it's given to us.
Right.
So, if we have questions, do you want to go? What
Well,
I was thinking, what I thought you were referring to was then we would go through that budget by the department. Is that that's what I was hoping
Yes.
for?
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
Was that
Now, Matt has said that he will invite the committee chair at least, and if any committee members would like to sit on the department meetings with, the budget meetings with him too, but.
the committee chair? So this is where I would again object to the three-person
Well,
committee.
Or I said the committee, a person from the committee, or.
And in the past, if we had, let's say, 4 people who wanted to come, or 5 people, he has offered to
Sure.
have a second meeting. But I do think, once we go through the budget process, I'll agree with legislator Duchessis that, once we get the executive budget, we should go through it and go through each department and have the executive and the department head here, to answer some questions that we.
Yes, just to amplify, this really is our main responsibility.
Right.
And it's just better if all of the legislators can review the budget jointly, as opposed to having one committee chair or some committee members go in and then with the executive and then come back and explain why the budget is the way it is.
Okay.
So we're kind of one step removed, and I understand we're just getting started with the new system, but now really it's time for us to take hold of this process.
Sounds good. So I will schedule possibly 2 or 3 departments each night. Would that be adequate? Okay. And you wanna do them in 1 week, or would you like to do like one budget and finance meeting each week and review a couple departments, or would you rather go work on it during 1 week process, or?
Why don't you work that out as you see fit as time goes on?
Okay.
As long as we get the opportunity to meet the way we talked about.
Well, I didn't know anybody's schedule and stuff, but certainly I will make up a schedule. I'll put it out there for you folks to review, and probably going to have to adjust the dates and times, but hopefully we can fit everything in. So sounds good.
Thanks, Derek.
Okay. Anybody else? Joe?
May I make a suggestion that we have some kind of a visual? We used
Sure.
to do it in the city, we used to have a visual
Sure.
at times that you could have following along as we go down.
Okay, I will. In fact, I touched base talked to Matt a little bit about having all the departments here. He sees no problem in that. he will have them here, and I'll make sure they do a presentation.
Back in my day, we used to use, at the city, we used an overhead projector on our.
Right.
There you have video screen.
If we have one of those, I can run it. I'm pretty good at it. At church, I used to do the overhead.
Very good, well, yeah,
It
okay.
seems to be good for the media, it's just know where everybody would, when somebody said they want to review a certain section or something, you know.
You can explain to us the legislative board budget, right? Okay.
After the executive's done, we'll have it, and we can have a little bit of time, and then we'll schedule. Sometimes the bigger departments will have some more time, and maybe some of the smaller ones, but we'll leave that to your discretion. That's a good idea. Thank
And,
you.
yeah, if you guys have any more ideas, just shoot an email or give me a call, or, this is, hopefully I'll make everybody happy with the process, okay? So motion to adjourn.
Yep.
Barbara?
Yep.
Roy?